Hello, we're here.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to our weekly power lunch.
For those of you who are joining us for the first time, my name is Dakota,
And I'm Jeff Barker.
and we are the founders of Opinacon Investments. That is our multifamily acquisition company. And we do these lives weekly to share what we've learned, share what's going on, and hopefully provide some value to everybody that's watching.
Yeah. We like these sessions to be as interactive as possible. Obviously, that's why we do them live. So we're watching the chat. We're live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're watching us on one of those platforms live, feel free and put some comments in the chat with relation to whatever we're talking about. And we'll read it. We'll comment on it ourselves if you have any questions, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just let us know that you're here. Drop a reaction, a like, or whatever, and a comment, and say that you're here watching.
Because if you don't, you just get to hear us banter, and sometimes that gets weird. So let us know.
We'll
if
try
you
not
have,
to go down any crazy rabbit holes.
Yeah, it's a hard promise to make.
I
Yeah,
said try.
if you have anything you want to add to the conversation, any questions you have, any comments you want to make, let us know. Even if it's after the fact, if you're watching this recorded, let us know, and yeah, we'd be happy to try to add it into the conversation. For those of you who have been watching us for a while, welcome back. Thank you for continuing to support our weekly power lunch. Like I said, we do this every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern Time on my Facebook, so Dakota Barker, and on our YouTube, Opinacon Investments. So you can check us out there.
Mm-hmm. Today's topic. Hey, Marc-Andre. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello. This week's conversation sparked because we are moving.
Yeah.
You might be like, why the heck?
That's why it's so empty in here.
Yeah. How on earth? And I guess I think we've mentioned it
Yeah.
in previous lives that
But
we
some
are
people
moving.
are new, and some people don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we are moving. We currently live at a country home, and as business owners, that is tricky. It's a lot of work. It's
A lot of maintenance. Yeah. We're on 2.5 acres, so mowing the lawn. We have a really long driveway, so even in the winter, we get snowed in unless we do something about it. So.
Yeah. And I guess another important point is that we aren't just moving, we sold our home. So this was a house that I guess we still own it, we still live here. But we have sold it, and we are actually...
It closes in June.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we are actually moving into a rental. And this conversation came because we had a lot of people that thought and still think we are crazy. And I think they think we are crazier the more we tell them about kind of the process of how we ended up picking where we are moving to. So
it's a big change. That's why.
Yes.
That's a big part of it
change.
anyways, is because it's such a big change.
It is a big change. So the first big change was the fact that we are moving from a house that we've owned. We've owned for a while now. You bought your first house
In 2012.
Yeah, so homeowners for a long time. Obviously, you before me because I moved in with you. But then we've purchased homes since then that we've lived in, and obviously we've purchased this house.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been homeowners for a long time. We are selling to be renters. So that was the first thing that people were like,
"What do you mean
what?
you're not gonna? Aren't you in real estate? You're not gonna own your home?"
Yes.
We have that question a lot.
Yeah, we get that a lot. And so that's the first kind of shock that a lot of people, like when we tell people. And then there's the progression of what we ended up renting.
Yeah, so it started off, it was very interesting progression. It started off looking at single family homes that we could rent in, like, if you're not familiar with if you are familiar with the Ottawa area, I'll say names, but like central Ottawa kind of thing, it would be Nepean was kind of where we were looking. And then we realized, you know what, we want to be a little bit more within walking distance to places. And Nepean is very much, you need a car. We would both need a car. And so then we decided, why don't we move somewhere that's a little bit, it's a very nice, cute little area. It's called Westboro. Everything's in walking distance. As we started to move our focus to there, we started looking at places that were a little smaller, not necessarily single family homes or like townhomes. We started looking at, I don't know, triplex, fourplex, like just moving into one of those units. So you end up in a kind of a smaller unit.
And then randomly, you decided to book a showing in a high rise.
In a high rise downtown. It's brand new. It had so many amenities. And I thought, if we're gonna make a change, this would be a big change. And we were also running the numbers. So part of what we're doing is trying to reduce our cost of living, because our expenses are very, very high. And so we're looking to see how we can, I guess, simplify that and just spend less on stuff that's not really helping us grow our portfolio or anything like that, right?
Yeah, it's an investor mindset, right? Like,
Yeah.
we want to reduce the expenses that we're paying so that we can put more towards properties, grow our wealth faster, and not necessarily spend it on, a big riding lawnmower.
Yeah, exactly. Just the overall maintenance of
Yeah.
things, right? Also, I mean, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit to another reason on why we're looking to rent versus own. This is a whole big discussion, but we own real estate, right? That I think that everybody should own real estate. We do own real estate, but our house, the way that we look at it, is it's a liability. There are major expenses. There's upkeep, maintenance. All of that is out of pocket, and it's not an expense. If we have to replace a furnace at a rental property, that's an expense, right? That is something that is but it's an expense, right? So here it's not, and so it just comes out of pocket.
Yeah.
I had something else that I was going to say along those lines, but now I lost it. I went down a rabbit hole.
You did. I think the idea of this is that the way that we viewed our home, with the changing of our mindset, it became more of of a liability, less of an asset.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is it's different for everybody. We're not saying go out, sell your home, and get into a rental. That's not the case. For us, there were a couple of factors that played into it. It was the fact that, yes, it's the way that we view the single family home, but also we live in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. We are country bumpkins that need to be networking, that it takes 30 minutes just to get to a coffee shop to meet somebody.
Yeah.
And that's if they're willing to meet us at the closest coffee shop to us. So and we almost got into this routine of we didn't want to leave the house because we live in the middle of
you
nowhere.
Really become a homebody, and plus there's just extra maintenance, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was coming from with the high rise. There's no maintenance. We don't have to do anything when it comes to, I don't know, if our furnace breaks, I don't have to worry about it. I just call the landlord. Mm-hmm. All of the amenities in this building are great. There's a dog run for our dog. It has a gym, so we don't need to leave our place to go to the gym. We have a basement gym here, but not really using it all that much. It's not very full. It's not nice. Yeah. And we didn't want to put the time and money into building a nice gym in our place, right? Mm-hmm. Because again, we didn't see the value and return in that from an investor's perspective.
Yeah. So obviously, I think point being, we're making a big change in our life, and it's very different than the social norm, because I think mm-hmm. for a lot of people, we basically have, I'll call it, to kind of mirror the States, we have the Canadian dream, right? We own our house, we're on acreage, You know, we have the dog and all that. You know, like we have the stuff that people are like, you know, this is what we want. And here we are, like so many people are having a hard time buying homes these days, and here we are with our home that we own, and now we're selling it so we can rent. And we've gotten a lot of very interesting feedback on that, especially from people who aren't in our investing circle. We've gotten a lot of like, are you guys crazy? Are you sure? Are you okay? And we're like, yeah, this is just, you know, this is kind of almost a part of our investing process is, you know, reduce expenses so we can put more into the business, reduce the maintenance so we can put more time into the business, simplify things so that we don't have to worry about, okay, are you going to make those investor calls or are you going to go and cut the lawn? You know,
That's right.
Are you
building the business or are you maintaining your home?
Yeah. So with all of these different factors for where we are right now, and we also don't have this big family that we have to uproot and move. So for us right now, it made a lot of sense as we're in this like massive growth phase for the business. But it really, like, this process has really reminded us how important it is to have the right people around you, because if all we had were these people that were like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Like this, like you're doing the opposite of what everybody does. If that's all that we were surrounded with, then it would be a much harder decision to make because you get really easily influenced by the people that are around you.
Yeah.
Whereas we had the exact opposite,
Mm-hmm.
right? We had a mentor that was like, you know, go for that building downtown, like reduce those expenses. How much can you reduce them? Reduce that maintenance, like simplify your life, like make it easy to come home every day and just like relax and then do your work. Like simplify your life right now because you're in massive growth area. You can do this like owning the home, cutting the lawn, enjoying that life later.
Yeah. It's hard to build the business and maintain everything. And there's just a lot of clutter, I guess. Right? So you said the word simplifying and that's ultimately what we're doing. I think not to go as far as minimalism, but to reduce the amount of stuff. We have a 3-bedroom home right now. We're 2 people and a dog and a cat, right? Like we don't need the full shebang. We don't need all of that space.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we're gonna sprawl into it. I'm selling. If anybody's friends with me on Facebook, you'll see that I'm selling a bunch of our things, and it feels good. It feels good to be reducing the amount of stuff that we own because we're just filling our lives with stuff. And all of that gets cluttered in your own mind as well.
Yeah, and it's like we have stuff from like flips past that like someone left a piece of furniture and we're like, we can use this somewhere.
Yeah.
And we just filled our house with things, and now we're getting rid of those things.
Yeah, we have a living room and like a TV area, so we have 2 separate couches. Like we're 2 people.
We don't need that.
We don't need that. We need a living room, which was the same place you're gonna watch TV.
Yeah.
Also, like looking at a high rise again, it has, so sure, our living space is gonna be smaller, right? Which means we'll have less stuff, but the building has all these amenities like a lounge area that you can reserve for free. Mm-hmm. And so if you're gonna have a big gathering, you can still do it. It's just not in your own living room. It's in kind of a more common space that you can reserve and still have a private event.
Yeah. So I think the overall point of this is not like, again, it's not please go sell your home and move into a high rise because you need to like reduce your things and
unless
that's
it makes
what you
sense
need
for
to
you.
do. Unless it makes sense for you. But the concept of this is to think differently than kind of what the average person thinks. And in order to do that, it's really helpful if you have the right people around you. Because if you do the same thing that everybody else is doing, then you're going to have the same results as everybody else.
Or if you do the same thing that you've always been doing, you're going to have the same results you've always had.
Yeah. I mean, you say often, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
So for us right now, this is what made the most sense. But having the right people around us is what like kind of helped us through that process, because we kind of did have to change our mindset through this, and you could actually see the mindset change as you saw like the evolution of what we wanted to rent. That I think was a really interesting process for us to go through. And it was from talking to our mentors that have what we want to have and have gone through what we want to go through. It was through those discussions that allowed us to have this evolution of what we were looking for, but I think that kind of paralleled our change in mindset as we were looking for a rental for ourselves. And I think this is not, like, it's not just about us moving and us getting a rental, but I think this is everything in life, right? Like if you want to be different and you want to have a different life than everybody else, you have to do things differently than everybody else. And you want to look to the people that actually have what you want to have and see what they've done, because it's probably not what, you know, society in general is doing or has done. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other examples that I know there's a ton.
Examples like of changing, like, who you listen to,
Yeah.
who you influenced by.
There's
Like,
actually-
choose who you're influenced by.
Yes.
You have the ability to choose the influences in your life and who you're going to take advice from.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, I don't know, if you want to buy your first home, don't take advice from somebody who's never bought a home before. Right? It sounds so simple and dumb, but so many people are taking advice from the wrong people.
Yeah. Marc Andre said, "That is true, and the decision you made is extremely beneficial to your current needs. I couldn't agree more." Exactly.
It took us a long time to get there,
Yeah.
to get to that mindset as well, as Dakota mentioned.
Yeah, it was an evolution. It was a process, and I mean, it's still going to be a bit of a process moving into that place and figuring it out. But it's also a new adventure.
Pretty much none of our furniture fits.
None of it. That's why it's all being sold. So if you want furniture, we got you.
Yeah. You got to pick it up in the country, though.
Yes. Yeah. Even recently, you know, we were talking to some people, because if you've been following us, you know that we've been on the road quite a bit over the last little while. We've been home for a bit, which is I've actually felt kind of nice. But the traveling we were doing was beneficial for us in a lot of different ways. It was beneficial to us just from, like, you know, the fact that we were income being one, but also we got to spend more time with some of our mentors, some like really good, like, intimate time with them, having these conversations, which was actually a big part of the evolution of what we were looking for in a rental.
And the overall decision, yeah.
That, and just, like, you know, getting ourselves out there. It was great networking, great being able to meet people in our community from, like, across the country. But we had a lot of people that, again, were like, "Are you guys crazy? You know, you guys are wasting your weekends doing this." And we've heard that a couple of times where we're like, "Oh, you guys work during the week and then you waste your weekends doing this traveling." And I didn't even, like, it's funny because I didn't even think of it that way at all, which I think shows kind of the difference in mindset. But for us, that's what we need right now.
Well, and not only that, but we've built a life where we're not working for the weekend.
Yeah.
Right? Most people don't really love what they do, and they work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then the weekend hits and that's their time. But for us, we can take the time when we need it. We're building our own business, right? So we don't need to necessarily ask for permission. If we want to take off a Wednesday to do whatever, then we just do it.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait for the weekend to make those types of plans.
Mm-hmm. But again, everybody around us that we are, like, that we want to grow with and that we are kind of aspiring to become, you know, that's kind of what they're doing as well. They're working the days that they need to be working. They take the time that they need to take, and, you know, they're finding what they enjoy doing kind of within their business. So they don't necessarily need that kind of, like, Saturday, Sunday break from it. So again, we're taking the influence from the people that we've chosen to spend this time with and that we've chosen to have as influences on our life. And a lot of the people kind of, not saying that those people aren't in our lives, they very clearly are, but they don't have the same influence on what we're doing.
Or mindset.
Yeah. But we've chosen that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we've chosen kind of who we want to take that advice from and who we don't necessarily need to take advice from.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a very common saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So look at your circle. Who is it that you're spending the time with? Are they influential people? Are they living the life that you ultimately want to be living as well?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think for us and for like the point of this discussion is really to figure out who you need around you to make sure that you're going to be advancing towards your goals in the best way, because it's probably going to be different than what a lot of people in society think it should look like. And I don't think there is a should, right? Like I think it's what fits you in that moment, and look to the people that you kind of aspire to be like, and see what they're doing, get their advice on, what's happening, what the current situation is. I mean, our mentor, the deciding question was, what's more fun? Because we had like kind of figured out all these like logistic type things with him. We were like, okay, like these are the options. What do you think of this? Okay, this kind of fits us. And the last question was, what's more fun?
Yeah, which one's going to be more fun? Which one fits your current lifestyle?
Yeah.
Like
So it was a funny conversation, a funny way to end it.
Yeah.
And
that was the deciding factor. That was when we were like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's move forward with this one.
Yeah, because we came down to 2 units that were like, both of these would kind of fit the lifestyle that we're looking for right now. So like, which one do we pick? And yeah, it was, the deciding factor was which one's more fun. So
a lot of this really has to do, like, if you're deciding on who you want to take advice from or have influence in your life, we've talked about this on previous power lunches, so you can go back and look at the ones that are around goal setting, because ultimately figuring out what you want is the first step, right? Mm-hmm. So looking at your goals, what is it that you want, and then find out who already has what you want, and then talk to them about getting advice, and talk to them about whatever, just having influence on what decisions you make.
Yeah, and it's not that it's going to be the exact same, like the route might not be the exact same as what they took, because mm-hmm. obviously everyone's situation is a little bit different, but at least to get the insight into, kind of how they would make that decision, because if the decisions that they made, that's what got them where they are, then there's a pretty good chance that they can kind of look at what your situation is and ask you the right questions, so that you can kind of make the decision on your own, but use them as guidance for that,
or a sounding board, or yeah
because sometimes it's hard to, if you have a mindset, sometimes it's really hard to break it, and you need somebody on the outside to kind of help you work through that.
Yeah, I remember when we were first listing our house for sale, there was somebody within our community, so they're an investor, but they were saying they're renting currently, and they were saying, I really want to, I want to stop renting, I want to buy a house. And I overheard this in conversation as I was walking by, and I stopped and I said, we were going to a meetup afterwards, so I said, let's talk at the meetup, because I'm actually I'm doing the opposite. I'm selling my house and I'm going to rent. So I just want to kind of spit my mindset to you, so you can understand it.
Yeah, see if it fits for you.
See if it fits. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because some people don't even, you get so caught up in what everybody what kind of the norm, the societal norm is, that it's hard to even think outside of what that norm looks like. And it takes, surrounding yourselves with the right people to be able to look outside of what that norm is. And often it's a better fit. Like, you can figure out what's a better fit for you and what actually makes more sense than just doing kind of what you should do
according to society or values that you've grown up with.
Yeah. So if you want to be different, you got to do it a little bit differently than everybody else, or else you're just going to end up the same as everybody else.
Yeah, if you want something in your life to change, something in your life has to change.
I think that's that.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll call it there. If you enjoyed this, please share it with your friends. And if you have any ideas on other topics that we can talk about, then let us know. Send us a message, put it in the comments, whatever you want. But also, if you want to be on our power lunch, we can do that. It can be remote as well. So we'd love to have you on, kind of podcast style, I guess.
Yeah.
Next week, so Tuesdays, 12:30 Eastern, we'll be back.
Yeah. We'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.